Welcome to T News 9 channel. Today, we're diving into chapter 51 of the Cases That Wait, titled Escalation. Escalation doesn't announce itself, it just asks for a little more. He didn't come back to the store. That would have been obvious. Instead, he appeared where coincidence could still pretend. A bus stop, 2 blocks away, a different night. I noticed him before I admitted it to myself. Recognition always comes quietly. He stood farther down the shelter, with the same posture, the same patience, waiting without looking like he was waiting. I checked the bus schedule, even though I didn't need to. Late buses create a shared sense of frustration. That's why he chose this spot. Looks like a delay, he said. His voice was neutral, unattached. I just nodded, not responding. Silence tests escalation faster than words ever could. He shifted, taking a step closer. Not directly toward me, but into the shared space between us. Sometimes they reroute, he added. Hard to tell if you'll be standing here long. Time again. It was always about time. I don't mind waiting, I said. That should have ended it. It didn't. He smiled, but it was thinner this time. You said that before. Memory, that was new. People who are just being casual don't keep track of things like that. I looked at him fully now, just for a moment. He held my gaze. He didn't flinch. He didn't look away. That's escalation. It's not the approach. It's the permission they give themselves to stay in your focus. A bus pulled in. It wasn't ours. People boarded, but we didn't. He stayed. I stayed. The space around us tightened. You know, he said softly, this city isn't great for waiting alone at night. His concern sharpened into a warning. Protection can feel like a threat when it removes your choice. I'm fine, I said. Firm, clear. This was the second no. He nodded, but his body didn't move. That's the line. His words could agree, while his intent resisted. Then, a phone rang. Mine. It was loud in the quiet night. He stepped back immediately. The distance was restored. His control was released. Now that we were under observation, I answered, but I didn't speak. I just listened. He watched me, calculated. When I hung up, he smiled again, wider this time. Recovered. Looks like you're covered, he said. He left then. Didn't wait. Didn't test me further. Escalation had met resistance. Not from me, but from the world. I wrote it down later. Not what he said, but where he stopped. Because escalation always tells you how far someone really wanted to go. He stepped back, but only because something interrupted him. Chapter 52 Exposure. Control fails the moment it feels observed. He didn't disappear after the bus stop. That would have meant retreat. Instead, he changed shape. There were no more chance encounters, no more shared spaces. It was just a constant, quiet presence. A car parked a little too often near the same block. A figure reflected in a shop window where a reflection wasn't needed. He wasn't following me anymore. He was checking on me. Exposure doesn't announce itself with a bang. It leaks. So, I decided to make it visible. I walked into a small corner store with another officer. We didn't walk in together, not close enough to be obvious. Just close enough for him to notice. We laughed inside, maybe a little too loud. We shared eye contact across the aisles. Signals, you see, work both ways. In the reflection of the cooler door glass, I saw him stiffen. It wasn't fear, it was calculation. He hadn't planned for witnesses that stayed. I stepped outside alone after a few minutes, leaving the door open behind me. Light from the store spilled onto the sidewalk. People were moving, laughing, just background noise. It was the complete opposite of giving him permission to approach. He stood across the street, motionless. He didn't come closer, but he didn't leave either. That hesitation, that was new. I slowly raised my phone. I didn't point it at him, just held it up where he could see the screen's glow. Control absolutely hates records. He looked away instantly. Then, he crossed the street, not toward me, but past me. The direction mattered. As he walked by, he spoke, his voice low and flat. You should be careful. It wasn't concern. It was a reminder of his presence, a subtle threat. I didn't respond. Responses reward that kind of behavior. Back inside, my partner asked if I was okay. I just nodded, but I was already writing it all down in my mind. The time, the place, the distinct shift in his behavior. Exposure doesn't end things, it just changes the game. People who lose control don't just stop, they adapt. And adaptation is where mistakes live. I looked back through the glass window of the store. He was gone, but the city suddenly felt tighter, as if something out there had just learned it was being watched. He knew now, and that made him dangerous. Chapter 53 of the cases that wait. The Qatar move. When control is threatened, it looks for a new angle. He didn't come for me again. That would have been too reactive, too predictable. Instead, he widened the board, expanding the game. The next report came in at noon. Different district, different time, but the same familiar wording. She said a man helped her find the right bus. Help. It was always about help. This time though, she didn't disappear. She just felt wrong afterward, unsettled. That subtle difference mattered. It showed that control doesn't always have to take something away. Sometimes, it just tests for a replacement, probing for a new victim. I pulled the footage from the bus stop. An overhead angle gave a clear view, and there he was. Not too close, not too distant, perfectly positioned. He wasn't hunting me anymore. He was proving he could still hunt anyone. That was his countermove. An hour later, I walked the same route. I didn't hide, but I didn't announce my presence either. I just existed in the space where he'd been. Control absolutely hates mirrors. It can't stand seeing its own reflection. At the corner, a woman stood alone, scrolling on her phone, completely unaware of her surroundings. I stopped about 10 steps away, close enough to be present, but far enough to seem like nothing. She glanced up for a second, then went back to her screen. Then, a shadow crossed behind her. It wasn't him. It was someone else. He was adapting, using substitutes. It was lower risk for him, and a lower reward, but it allowed for a higher frequency of attempts. That's escalation wearing the mask of patience. I took a step closer, letting my presence interrupt the pattern he was trying to establish. The woman looked up again, and this time our eyes met. I saw a flash of relief in her expression. Small, but distinctly human. The shadow that had been lurking moved on. No offer of help, no interaction, just absence. I waited, counted the seconds. Nothing followed. Later that night, I checked the logs. He'd been seen twice more. Never for long, never directly involved. He was just testing the edges, seeing where the resistance now lived. And that's when I finally understood. He wasn't trying to win anymore. He was trying to see if the game still existed at all. I closed the file and wrote a single line in my report. He's adjusting targets, not stopping. That meant only one thing. The next move had to be ours. He changed his tactics. So would we. Chapter 54 from the novel, The Cases That Wait. It's called The Bait. A trap only works when it looks like a choice. We didn't use an officer as bait, to clean, to alert. We used a moment. Same bus stop, same late hour. A woman standing alone. Phone battery critically low. Her bag just a little too heavy. It all had to feel real enough to matter, but just safe enough for us to end it. I stayed across the street. My focus wasn't on her. I was watching the space around her. That's where control moves. Minutes passed, nothing. Then, he appeared. Not from behind, but from the side, as if he was already there. He didn't look at her first. He checked reflections in cars, in shop windows, in any dark glass. Past exposure had clearly taught him caution. He waited, letting the moment lean in his favor. The woman shifted her weight, adjusting the heavy bag. Signals are unintentional when they're honest. Long wait, he said. His voice was neutral, soft. It wasn't an offer of help yet. It was a test. She simply nodded, didn't smile, didn't engage. That slowed him down. He had to recalibrate his approach. I live nearby, he added, if you want to sit somewhere safer. And there it was, not help, safety. That's escalation's favorite word. Across the street, I moved. Just one step. It was enough. His eyes flicked towards me, and he caught it. He hesitated. That was the tell. He'd noticed resistance before he even offered assistance. That meant the intent came first. The woman glanced at me, then back at him. No, thank you, she said. Her voice was clear and firm. He smiled, but this time, it didn't reach his eyes. All right, he said. He stepped back, a little too smoothly. Then, he looked straight at me, not surprised, not angry, just acknowledging the game had been named. He walked away without urgency. No rush, no mistake made. Yet I crossed the street to check on her. She was shaking, not from fear, but from adrenaline. Did I do okay? She asked. You did exactly right, I told her. Across the intersection, he didn't turn back, but I knew bait doesn't catch, it confirms. And now we knew what he did when the answer was no. He didn't take the bait, he memorized it. Chapter 55. The net. A net isn't thrown, it's tightened. We didn't move fast. Speed would have warned him. We moved wide. Cameras adjusted their angles, not pointed, repositioned. Routes were mapped, not blocked. Observed, he noticed. Of course he did. Control feels pressure before it sees it. He stopped using the bus stops, switched to places with motion, malls, parking garages, hospital entrances. Crowds dilute witnesses. They also multiply patterns. We tracked pauses, where he slowed, where he waited, not who he approached. That mattered. People lie about intent. They don't lie about rhythm. His rhythm narrowed. Fewer attempts, longer observation. Predators slow when the environment changes. They listen. I stood in the control room watching his loops on screen. Circles inside circles. No exits. That's when the net started to matter. He crossed a threshold without realizing it. A camera-free corridor. Temporary. Planned. Maintenance oversight. Or so he thought. We let him have it once. Just once. The second time, the camera was there. Quiet. Unmarked. He paused. Longer than before. Looked directly at the lens. Not confusion. Recognition. He turned away. Walked fast. Too fast. Control hates surprise. I closed the map. We had enough. Not to arrest. To constrain. From now on, every place he chose would already be smaller than the last. The net doesn't snap. It convinces you there's nowhere else to step. He hadn't been caught. He'd been surrounded. Thank you for joining us for this chapter reading on T News 9. If you enjoyed this, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. We appreciate your support. See you next time.